I know exactly how it sounds when you say it out loud. I told my friend his dad was my real type, and his dad walked into the room behind me. It doesn't matter what I say after that. People hear that one sentence and immediately decide I'm disgusting, disrespectful, shameless, and I get it. Because if I take a step back and pretend I'm listening to someone else tell this story, I'd judge her too. But it didn't feel that simple in my head when I said it. In my head, it was a joke, a dramatic, stupid, reckless joke said during girl talk, while I was trying to make my friend laugh and make myself feel better about how unhappy I was. I didn't think anyone would hear. I definitely didn't think he would hear. My husband's father, the man my husband respected more than anyone else on earth. The man I, in one of the ugliest, most thoughtless moments of my life, called my real type. And he heard every word. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have described myself as happily married, just a bit restless. That's how I always phrased it, never unhappy. That felt too dramatic, too definite, just restless, bored, a little bruised around the edges. My husband Noah is a good man. That's the sentence everyone keeps throwing at me now, like a mirror I can't avoid. He's a good man. You had a good man. You destroyed a good man. He really is too, or he was. I honestly don't know which parts were him and which parts were the version of him I built in my head. When we first started dating, he was all sharp jawlines, rolled up sleeves, and quiet confidence. The type of guy who didn't talk much at parties, but when he did, everyone leaned in. He smelled like cologne and coffee. He ironed his shirts. He wore watches. He planned surprise dates. Simple, thoughtful stuff. Over time, that faded. Like it does for everyone, I guess. Work got harder. The gym happened less. The shirt and watch guy became the old hoodie and sweatpants guy. Dinner became takeout eaten on the couch in front of his laptop. Conversations became, "How was your day?" "Fine. Yours?" "Fine." I hate how shallow this sounds, even in my own head, but I started feeling invisible. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't cheating. He wasn't abusive. He was just somewhere else all the time. In his head, in his work, in his exhaustion. Meanwhile, I was still putting on makeup, doing my hair, picking outfits, trying to look put together, and I got to watch him slowly stop trying at all. I told myself it wasn't a big deal, that love is more than looks, that this is normal. And it is normal. But normal doesn't always feel good. The worst part is that I didn't really talk to him about any of this, not properly, not in adult sentences like, "I miss when you dressed up for me. I miss feeling like you're trying to impress me. I miss how we were." Instead, I joked. I made comments like, "Wow, remember when you knew what an iron was?" Or, "You know your dad dresses better than you, right?" I thought I was being playful. He laughed them off at first. Then he stopped laughing, but I kept doing it, because every time I said something cutting, I got a reaction. A sigh, a look, a muttered, "Seriously?" And a reaction still felt better than silence. That's the part no one wants to hear when they retell my story. They love the headline. She told him his dad was her real type. They don't care about the 1,000 little steps that led up to me becoming the kind of woman who could say something like that out loud. To really understand how bad this gets, you need to understand Noah's dad. His name is Daniel. He's not your cliché gross, creepy father-in-law stereotype. He's annoyingly impressive. He's in his late 50s, but he looks early 40s. Tall, still fit. Salt and pepper hair that actually looks good. Clean shave most days. Sometimes a neatly trimmed beard. He wears pressed shirts, good shoes, the kind of cologne you smell once and remember. He runs a mid-sized construction company. Not flashy rich, but comfortable. Stable. He's charismatic too. Not in a sleazy way, but in that everyone listens when he talks way. He remembers people's names. He opens doors. He pulls out chairs. He compliments your outfit without making it weird. The first time I met him, I remember thinking, okay, so this is where Noah gets it from. Back then, Noah still dressed like he cared. He still kissed me in public, held my waist in photos, did little things that made me feel chosen. Over the years, that flipped. Noah sank into comfort. Daniel stayed sharp. And yeah, I noticed. Everyone noticed. His own friends would say stuff like, "Dude, your dad could outlift you," or "Your dad's more stylish than all of us." Noah would roll his eyes, pretend it didn't bother him, but I could see it. I knew that his dad was his standard, the man he'd spent his entire life being compared to. Successful, charismatic, put together, always the example. So when I started making jokes like, "Your dad dresses better than you," I knew exactly where to press. I just pretended I didn't. And then there was my friend Mia. Mia is my tell the ugliest truth friend. Everyone has one, I think. The person you rant to when you're not trying to be reasonable or kind or fair. You just want to say the most dramatic version of how you feel and have someone nod along instead of judging you. She knows things about me that no one else does. She has seen messages I should have never sent. She's seen screenshots I should have deleted a long time ago. Her apartment is where I go to be. Unfiltered. That day was supposed to be a normal venting session. Noah and I had had one of those nothing fights that still managed to leave you raw. The night before, we'd been invited to dinner with some old college friends of his. Everyone showed up put together. Button-down shirts, dresses, shoes that weren't falling apart. Noah wore the same faded hoodie he always wore, with a stain near the pocket he'd never bothered to get out. In the car afterward, I made a comment. "Did it ever cross your mind to wear something slightly less homeless?" I'd joked. He gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. "Nice," he said. "Always fun being publicly embarrassed by my wife." "Come on," I said. "I didn't say it in front of them." "You didn't have to," he muttered. "You spent the whole night talking about how great my dad looked in that shirt." "He did look great," I replied. "Your mom said the same thing." "Yeah, but my mom isn't sleeping with him," he snapped. That shut me up. For about 10 hours. The next afternoon, I texted Mia. "I need wine and to complain about men. You home?" She sent back, "Doors open. I have cheap wine and better judgment that I'm absolutely not going to use on you." So I went. By the time I got there, I was already in that mood. You know the one. Half sulking, half itching for drama. Waiting for someone to confirm that yes, I am the victim, and yes, everyone around me needs to do better. Mia handed me a glass, flopped onto the couch next to me and said, "Okay, go." What did he do now? So I told her. I told her about the hoodie, about the dinner, about how I always felt like I was trying and he wasn't. "He lets himself go and then acts offended when I notice," I said. "Like, sorry that my eyes still work?" Mia snorted. "Men are allergic to effort the second they feel safe," she said. "It's like a biological thing." We laughed. I exaggerated. She chimed in. Two idiots feeding each other nonsense. "You know what annoys me?" I said, topping off my glass. "He knows how to clean up. I've seen pictures from college, from when we first started dating. He can be that guy." "So why isn't he?" she asked. "Because he doesn't have to be," I said. "He already got the girl. Why bother now?" She took a sip, eyeing me over the rim. "Okay, so what is your type?" she asked. "Right now," I scoffed. "Apparently not my husband." We both laughed. It should have stopped there. A normal person would have stopped there. But I'm not good at stopping when I feel half drunk on righteous indignation. I leaned back, thinking. "You know what's messed up?" I said. "The person who actually fits my type is going to sound insane." Mia raised an eyebrow. "Oh, this I have to hear." And here is the part where, if I could go back and shut my own mouth, I would. I wish I'd swallowed the sentence. I wish I'd stared at my glass instead. I wish I'd remembered who I was talking about and who might possibly be within earshot. But I didn't. I rolled my eyes, smirked, and said, "Honestly, His dad. His dad is more my type than Noah is now. Mia's laugh burst out instantly, then stopped just as fast. Wait, she said, coughing. You mean like… Actually. I grinned, loving the shock on her face. I don't mean I want to be with him, I said. I'm not that sick, I just mean… Look at him. He dresses well, he takes care of himself, he smells good, he stands up straight, he opens doors, he has that presence, you know? You mean he's a grown man, she said. Exactly, I said. He's a grown man. Meanwhile, I'm married to a human beanbag in a hoodie. She choked on her wine. Jesus, she said, wiping her lips. You can't say that. I'm not saying it to his face, I laughed. I'm saying it to my best friend on a couch in a safe space. I'm allowed to have eyes. I'm allowed to notice that the person who should be aging into dad hot is aging into… whatever Noah is doing. Mia shook her head, giggling. You're insane, she said. And honest, I replied, feeling that wrong kind of pride. If I met them both now, without history, same age difference, whatever, no strings, no taboos, I'd pick his dad, every time. He's just more my type than Noah is now. I said it, every word. I didn't whisper that part. I wasn't careful. I wasn't soft. I owned it, like an idiot. Mia's laughter died again. She stopped looking at me. She was staring over my shoulder. Her face drained of color so fast it was almost funny. Almost. What? I asked, still grinning. Don't look at me like that. I'm not going to jump him at Christmas dinner. I'm just… She swallowed hard. Her eyes flicked from behind me back to my face. You need to turn around, she whispered. Right now. My whole body went cold. You know that sick feeling you get in your stomach when your phone slips out of your hand toward a storm drain? Multiply that by 1,000. My laugh dried in my throat. No, I said. No, no, no. Turn around, she repeated, barely moving her lips. I felt the air shift behind me. The room seemed suddenly smaller, or heavier. I turned, slowly, and there he was, Daniel, my husband's father. Standing in the doorway from the hall to the living room, one hand still on the frame. He was holding a set of keys and a folder under one arm. He was wearing a navy button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms, watch glinting on his wrist. He looked exactly like the type of man I'd just run my mouth about. And his expression was the worst part, not anger, not confusion, just cold, disappointed, like he had just caught a teenager vandalizing a grave. How long have you been standing there? I whispered. He didn't answer. He stepped into the room, set the folder on the coffee table next to my half-empty wine glass, and looked straight at me. I came by to drop off some documents for Mia's roommate, he said, voice measured. The door was unlocked. I knocked. No one answered, so I let myself in. He let that hang there for a beat. I wasn't expecting to hear my daughter-in-law explain how I'm her real type, he added. I wanted to evaporate. Behind me, Mia made a small, mortified sound. I started, standing up so fast the wine sloshed over the rim of my glass. It was a joke. I was just venting. I didn't… He held up a hand. Please don't insult my intelligence on top of everything else, he said quietly. The heat rushed to my face so hard my ears rang. I didn't mean it like that, I stammered. I just meant you age well, that you take care of yourself. I was comparing effort. That's all. I didn't mean I'm attracted to you. You said, he interrupted, eyes never leaving mine, that if you met us both now, you'd choose me over my son. Every time. I shut my mouth. Hearing my words repeated back in his voice made them sound even worse. I glanced at Mia, desperate. She looked like she wanted to climb into the wall. Daniel, I tried again, my voice cracking. You weren't supposed to hear that. It was thoughtless. I was just talking. You know how women talk when they're emotional. Don't put this on women, he cut in. Don't hide behind some stereotype about girl talk. This isn't about your gender. This is about your character. That's the moment my knees almost gave out. He stared at me for a long, brutal second. Then he said, with no raised voice, no theatrics, just flat truth, "I'm not your type, and you're not the woman my son deserves." It felt like he'd reached into my chest and crushed something. Mia's eyes filled with tears. For me, or for him, I don't know. He picked up his keys, walked past me, didn't look back. The front door opened, closed, and my entire life tilted sideways with that quiet click. I don't remember how long I stood there. At some point, I realized I was still holding the wine glass. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set it down before I dropped it. Mia was the first to speak. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God, oh my God." I laughed. It came out high-pitched and hysterical. "This isn't happening," I said. He's not going to tell Noah like that. He's reasonable. He knows I'm dramatic. He knows I run my mouth. I'll call him. I'll explain." I reached for my phone. It buzzed in my hand before I even unlocked it. "Noah," a text. "We need to talk. Now." My blood turned to ice. I stared at the screen. Another message came in, from Mia's roommate. "Why is my landlord texting me, 'We need to talk about your guests'? What happened?" Mia saw my face and covered her mouth. "He already knows," she whispered. "There's a chance," I said desperately, even though we both knew better, "that he just said something vague. I can frame it. I can get ahead of this. I just have to get home." "Do you want me to come with you?" she asked. "No," I said quickly. "If you're there, it'll just make it worse. He'll think we're teaming up. I'll handle it." "Are you going to tell him the truth?" she asked. I hesitated. "Yes," I said finally, "but softer, less literal." We both knew what that meant. I grabbed my bag, my keys, my shame, and left. The elevator ride felt like descending into hell one floor at a time. In the car, my mind ran at double speed. I started building narratives, lining up excuses like soldiers. It was a joke. I was venting. I was comparing effort, not attraction. I was drunk. It came out wrong. "I only meant your dad takes care of himself. You know I love you, you know that." I repeated those sentences until they almost sounded believable. To me, anyway. By the time I pulled up to our place, my heart was pounding so hard it hurt. His car was in the driveway. The curtains in the living room were open. The lights were on. Everything looked normal. That was the worst part. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside. The house was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, taut quiet. The kind of silence that happens after someone hears a bomb and is waiting to see if the building collapses. Noah was sitting at the kitchen table. He wasn't glaring. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't yelling. He just sat there, arms on the table, phone in front of him, face pale, eyes burned out. Something in me wanted to turn around and walk right back out. Instead, I closed the door softly behind me. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual and failing. "You texted. I came as soon as—" "Sit down," he said. His voice was low, flat. I sat. The chair felt too hard. For a few seconds, he just stared at me, as if trying to reconcile the woman in front of him with whatever he had just heard. Finally, he spoke. "You told people my father is your real type," he asked. No build-up, no small talk, just that. I opened my mouth. "Daniel came by Mia's," I said, going for partial truth. He overheard. He picked up his phone and turned the screen toward me. It was a message from his dad. "You need to rethink who you married." Attached was a voice note. Noah pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the kitchen. "She was at Mia's. I walked in to drop off some paperwork. She was telling her friend that if she met us both now, she'd choose me over you. Every time. She called me her real type. I didn't want to hear it, but I did. I thought you should too." The message ended. Noah stopped the audio. Silence again. My own words echoed in my head like a mockery. "Okay," I said, palms sweating. "Yes, Technically, I said that, but it's not what you think. Then what is it? He asked, finally looking up, eyes raw. Explain to me how those words can mean something else. I hated how small my voice sounded. It was a joke, I started. We were drinking, ranting. I was being dramatic. I meant your dad takes care of himself. He dresses well. He hasn't let himself go. I was comparing effort, not saying I want him. It came out harsher than I meant. So you didn't mean it literally, he said slowly. You only meant that if you saw us both as strangers now, you'd be more attracted to him than to me. I winced. Those are your words, he cut in. Your father-in-law didn't invent them. My dad didn't twist them. You said them. I was venting, I insisted. I was frustrated. You've been checked out lately. You don't dress up anymore. You don't try. I feel like I'm living with a roommate, not a husband. I wanted to feel heard, so I exaggerate. You know this about me. He leaned back in the chair, eyes narrowing. Right, he said. You exaggerate. You joke. You vent. You weaponize your feelings, then hide behind them when they hurt people. The word weaponize cut deeper the second time someone used it on me that day. Don't do that, I snapped, stung. Don't psychoanalyze me like I planned this. I didn't invite your dad there. I didn't ask him to stand in the doorway and listen. It was supposed to be private. Oh, so the crime isn't what you said, he said slowly. The crime is getting caught. That's not what He slammed his hand on the table. Not hard enough to break anything, just hard enough to make me jump. Do you realize who you said it about? He demanded. You didn't just call some random celebrity your real type. You weren't comparing me to some actor you'll never meet. You picked my father, the man I spent my whole life being told to measure up to. I swallowed. He dresses well, I repeated weakly. I don't care if he walks on water, Noah cut in. He is my father. There is a line. You didn't just cross it, you sprinted past it with a megaphone. Tears burned my eyes. I never said I wanted to be with him, I whispered. That has to count for something. I'm not fantasizing about him. You just turned him into a ruler, Noah said coldly, and measured me against him, in front of other people, with your whole chest. I looked down at my hands, hating the tremor in them. I was hurt, I said. You've stopped trying. I'm lonely. I feel like everything I do is invisible. He was just the easiest contrast to grab. I thought Mia would laugh, we'd move on. His knuckles whitened on the table. You know what the worst part is, he said quietly. I believe you. I believe you didn't go there planning to humiliate me. I believe you didn't consciously think, I want to ruin my husband today. For a second, hope flickered. So, we can work through this, I said quickly. We can talk to a counselor. We can unpack why I said it. Why I feel... He shook his head. That doesn't make it better, he said. It makes it worse. Because it means this is just how you talk when you're comfortable. This is who you are when you think no one is listening. I opened my mouth, closed it again. He stared at me a moment longer. Then he stood up. I watched him walk out of the kitchen, heart pounding. I thought he might be going to our bedroom to calm down. He wasn't. He was going to the hallway. He came back with it. My suitcase, the big one we used for vacations, except this time it was zipped. And standing upright, he set it by the doorway, then looked at me. That's really not funny, I said slowly. It's not a joke, he replied. My chest tightened. You packed my things? I asked. Some of them, he said. Enough for a while. I'm not going to dig through every drawer. You can come back with someone else tomorrow to get the rest. You're kicking me out, I said. Like if I repeated it, it might sound less surreal. He nodded once. Yes. The simplicity knocked the air out of me. You can't be serious, I said. Over this? Over one moment of stupid venting, after everything we've been through? His jaw clenched. Don't you dare reduce this to one moment, he said. You've been chipping away at me for months, maybe years. Every joke about how I don't look like I used to, Every comparison to guys at the gym, to actors, to my own father. I flinched. You always said you didn't mind. I said I didn't mind because I didn't want to be the insecure husband who can't take a joke. He snapped. I swallowed it, over and over. I told myself you didn't mean it. I told myself you were just venting, but you kept going. And now I get to hear that when you feel safe and honest, and you think no one is listening, you say, my husband's father is my real type. Tears blurred my vision. I love you, I said, tripping over the words. I chose you. I married you. Your dad is just a symbol, an example of effort. I picked the most dramatic way to say it. I didn't think. That, he said quietly, is exactly the problem. You never think about the damage until after you've done it. Then you cry and call it emotions. That's not fair, I whispered. He pointed at the suitcase. If my dad is your type, he said, voice suddenly cold and distant, go flirt with him. Go chase that effort you keep romanticizing. But you're not staying here and using me as the dull runner-up you mock to your friends. Something inside me shattered. I'm not mocking you, I pleaded, standing up, reaching for him. I'm frustrated, there's a difference. I want you to do better because I want you. If I didn't care, I'd say nothing. He stepped back out of reach. You cared enough to humiliate me in front of my own father, he said. That's all I need to know. He could have kept it between you and him, I said desperately. He didn't have to tell anyone else. We could have worked this out without involving the whole family. A bitter smile tugged at his mouth. You involved Mia, he said. You involved whoever was in that apartment. You've probably involved other people I don't even know about. My dad just decided I deserved to be one of the people who knows what my wife says about me behind my back. Another notification buzzed on his phone. He glanced at it. His expression hardened further. He tossed his phone onto the table. Check your messages, he said. Your reputation is already traveling faster than your explanations. Dread flooded me. I picked up my phone with numb fingers. My screen was full of notifications. Noah's sister, Ivy. Did you really tell people Dad is your type? What is wrong with you? His mother. I don't even know what to say to you. I feel sick. His cousin. Wow. So out of all the men in the world, you pick his father to compare him to. You're disgusting. Someone added me to a new chat, a smaller family group without me. Ivy posted in her story. Some women have no shame. You don't compare your husband to his father, ever. Some lines you do not cross. She didn't tag me, but she didn't have to. Half our mutuals had already sent it to me. My stomach twisted. They all know, I whispered. They know enough, Noah said. And no, I didn't start it. My dad told my mum. My mum called Ivy. Ivy posted something vague. People asked. She answered. I'm not going to police their reactions to what you did. I can fix this, I said weakly. I'll call them. I'll apologize. I'll tell them I was drunk, that I was joking. They'll understand that I didn't mean. You always think you can patch everything with words, he cut in. You can't unsay this. You can't unmake my dad hearing my wife talk about how she'd pick him over me. I didn't say it to him, I protested, grasping at technicalities. There's a difference between private venting and... Private venting, he said coldly, stops being private when you use people who know the subject. You want to talk about feeling neglected? Talk about that. You want to talk about how I dress? Fine. But you brought my father into it, my actual living father, the man I'm supposed to be able to trust with my marriage, not compete with. He took a breath. I'm not competing in this, he finished. I'm done. My legs felt weak. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. You're really ending our marriage over one sentence, I said, voice shaking. Over one bad joke. I'm ending it, he said, over the fact that that sentence lived inside you long enough to come out, and that you thought a couch and a glass of wine made it safe. I wanted to scream. Instead, I started crying. The ugly, gasping kind I hate. I reached for him again. Please, I begged. Don't do this, I will fix it. I'll never bring your dad up again. I'll stop comparing. I'll stop joking. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything. Don't throw us away over this. He looked at me for a long moment. There was grief in his eyes, but there was something else too. Relief. I'm not throwing us away, he said quietly. You tossed me in the trash the moment you decided my father was your real type, and said it out loud. I'm just taking the hint. He walked to the front door, opened it, stepped aside. Go to Mia's, he said. Go to your parents. Go anywhere but here. I don't want to share walls with someone who can't decide if she married me or settled for me. You're overreacting, I sobbed. You're hurt, I get it, but you'll calm down. I'm not angry, he interrupted. That's the scary part, isn't it? His voice was almost gentle now. Anger passes, he said. I'm just done. Those words landed heavier than any shout could have. I realized then that there was nothing to argue with. Because you can't argue with someone's decision to stop being your punching bag. I don't remember picking up the suitcase. My body moved on autopilot while my brain screamed. The hallway blurred. The porch came into focus. Cool air hit my face like a slap. Behind me, the door clicked shut. For the second time that day, that sound felt like a life closing. I dragged the suitcase down the path, tossed it into the back seat, and sat behind the wheel staring at our house. Part of me expected, desperately, to see the door swing back open. For him to run out and say, "Wait, I didn't mean it, I just needed to scare you." Nothing, just lit windows, a life going on inside without me. My phone buzzed again. My mother. I just got a call from Noah's mom. What's going on? You told them you're attracted to his father? I wanted to throw the phone out the window. Instead, I turned the key and drove. Back to Mia's. She opened the door before I even knocked, like she'd been pacing behind it. Her eyes were red. Did he? She started. He packed my suitcase, I said, my voice somehow calm now. Told me to go flirt with my real type. Mia winced. God, she whispered. I dragged the suitcase inside and collapsed onto her couch. The same couch where I'd detonated my life an hour earlier. How bad is it? She asked. I handed her my phone. Read, I said. She scrolled through the messages, her expression crumpling. Oh, she said softly. Oh, babe. Everyone knows, I said hollowly. His dad, his mom, his sister, his cousins, probably his co-workers by next week. She hesitated. Ivy's story is not subtle, she admitted. She didn't say your name, but everyone can tell. Good, I said bitterly. At least I'm exciting content for someone. Mia looked at me carefully. This is my fault too, she said. I shouldn't have pushed you. I didn't know. No, I cut in. You didn't say it. I did. You just happened to be sitting there when I decided to audition for Most Disrespectful Wife of the Year. Guilt settled over us like a heavy blanket. We sat in silence for a while. My phone buzzed again and again. At some point, I turned it face down. I just don't get it, I said finally, staring at the ceiling. It's not like I cheated. I didn't message his dad. I didn't flirt with him. I didn't cross any physical lines. It was words, stupid, careless words. Words about the one man he trusts most, Mia said quietly. The man he spent his life trying to impress. I adore you, but can you see why this hits different? I didn't answer, because I could. That's what made it worse. If some woman had told me, I'd pick your dad over your husband every time, I would have wanted to crawl out of my own skin. You know what's funny? I said after a while, my voice numb. If I had said, Chris Hemsworth is my real type, no one would care. They'd roll their eyes, they'd make jokes, but because I picked someone real, someone close, someone loaded with meaning, it suddenly became unforgivable. It's not just that he's real, Mia said. He's his dad. That's layered. I covered my face with my hands. I know, I muttered. I know. That's what makes this whole thing so stupid. Of all the examples I could have used, I picked the nuclear one. The couch swallowed my weight. We stayed like that for hours, her occasionally bringing me water, me occasionally checking my phone and regretting it every time. At some point, late into the night, after I sent a long, messy apology text to Noah, he finally replied. 2 messages. Just 2. You don't love me. A pause. Then, you love comparing me. I'm done. And then, Noah blocked you. The 3 words my phone helpfully added at the bottom. I stared at them until my eyes burned. Mia gently took the phone from my hand. That's not a door you can knock on tonight, she said softly. I didn't want to lose him, I whispered. I just wanted him to try again. Yeah, she said. And in the process, you proved to him that he was never enough as he was. I let that sink in. It hurt. Mostly because it was true. People always ask the same thing when they hear the short version of my story. Do you regret it? They say it like there's a chance I might say no, like I might double down and defend myself forever. I wish I could tell you I learned instantly that Daniel's words, Noah's suitcase, Ivy's story, that it all flipped a switch in my head and I became a better person overnight. That's not how it works. It took days before the defensiveness quieted down enough for shame to really move in. At first, I was obsessed with whether the punishment fit the crime. No one cheated. No one slept with anyone. It was just a sentence. People say worse things in fights. I said all that to myself, over and over. I even said it to my therapist when I finally dragged myself into one. She listened. Then she asked, if Noah sat with his friend and said, honestly, my mum is more my type than my wife. If I met them both now, I'd choose my mum's personality and not hers. And you heard it. Would you stay married to him? I didn't answer, because I already knew. You can't stay with someone who talks about you like that when they think you're not listening. Not without losing something in yourself. What I said turned Noah's father, his role model, his safe person, into a rival. Even if I never meant to act on it. Even if I never meant it literally. And I did it in front of other people. I took my husband's deepest insecurity, that he'd never be as impressive as his father, and used his father's actual existence as a comparison tool for my own dissatisfaction. Then I called it girl talk. I used the word honest like a shield. It was an honest moment. I was being honest about my feelings. Maybe I was. That's the part that still haunts me, because in that moment I did believe what I was saying, at least emotionally. Not that I wanted Daniel, not that I wanted to crawl into his lap or whatever disgusting version people imagine, but that he represented the type of man I had always seen myself with. Put together, attentive, a little older, a little more polished, and I had the audacity to say, my husband's father fits that fantasy more than my actual husband. Out loud, to an audience. And then I got upset that the audience included the one person who absolutely should never have heard it. Now, I live with that echo, with Daniel's voice saying, I'm not your type, and you're not the woman my son deserves. With Noah's last message, you don't love me, you love comparing me. With the knowledge that for the rest of my life, whenever I run into anyone from his family, at the grocery store, at a street fair, on social media, they'll look at me and see that woman, the one who told a friend she'd pick her husband's father over him. I lost my marriage without a single affair. I lost it over words. But those words were not harmless. They revealed exactly what Noah needed to know. That in the privacy of my venting, I didn't treat him like my choice. I treated him like my disappointment, and he decided to stop being the man I resented and go back to being the man who chooses himself. He didn't slam doors. He didn't scream. He didn't beg me to stay or fight for me or compete with his father for my approval. He just opened the door, pointed at my suitcase and said, if my dad is your type, go flirt with him. I thought he was being cruel. Now I understand. He was being clear, and for the first time in a long time, he chose to be with someone who didn't see him as second best. That someone just wasn't me.